How have y'all handled like cultural differences? Have you, I guess before, well, we're married, but have you ever dated outside of your race? No?
And it's funny because when we had that pre-meeting, she thought I dated outside of my race.
I really
And I was
did.
like, huh.
Here's the reason why. So it's no secret. If you go back to when we went to high school, 07, 08
Damn,
situation, 06, whatever, predominantly what we live by, it wasn't that many black girls.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Petranco area you see a lot more of us that live over that way, but it wasn't that many of us. So that made the pool a little small. Then, okay, who ain't giving it up to everybody? It gets smaller. Then who's cute? It gets even smaller.
Yeah.
And then who everybody ain't trying to talk to. So therefore, a lot of times, like, they didn't really have no choice but to date somebody outside of their race. Or you had some of them that just, unfortunately, would bash a beautiful black queen to unfortunately be with another race. So I just assumed, Warren didn't have too many.
No, you'd be surprised. Warren had a lot of black girls.
Well, John Jay didn't.
Huh?
John Jay didn't.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that.
John Jay has, we were pretty much a clique of our own.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that many of us.
Judson didn't have that problem.
Yeah. My cousin went to
Judson
Judson.
didn't have that problem.
But it was the same way it was for the girls. It was the same way for the guys. It wasn't that many black boys that went to my school.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, same thing. Are they already talking to somebody? Are they interested in a black girl? Like, it made the pool really, really small.
Yeah. I think that was, I know for me, I never dated outside my race, but in high school, I was too busy. Like, I just played sports. Mm-hmm. And then I remember loving basketball. I was like, I want a basketball. Like, I just wanted love in basketball. They didn't want no, I wasn't what they wanted. They didn't want to be with no athlete. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, I feel like they're okay with that. Men are okay with that.
Yeah, obviously, my first husband was white. So, yes, I have dated outside of my race. I don't mind dating outside of my race. I feel like I love who loves me. Mm-hmm. I see the motto is a fool comes in all shades, whether they're white, black, Asian, whatever. Like, a fuck up can come in any shade. Yeah. Okay? So that's just how I see it. I'm more so if I'm not dating you for your race, I'm dating you because you genuinely love me. I love you. That we have a connection kind of thing. Now, does stuff come into play like cultural differences? It can. Religion differences, upbringing. I can honestly say I was in a safe place with my husband to where I didn't feel a difference. He never made me feel like the token black girl or you're my first black girl I ever dated. I didn't have those issues. His family was very accepting of me. They didn't treat me like, oh, okay, well, let's adapt to her culture. No, everybody remains traditional themselves.
Good.
Like I didn't see a difference. What made it hard on our marriage was we were stationed in Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
Kansas at that time was not upgraded with the times and still kind of ain't. So we got a lot of backlash from outside noise and honestly a lot from our military peers. A lot. He would get questioned by both races, like how you pull her, she black. Like he would get it from the white guys, like your wife is black. I would get it from the black friends and stuff, even from higher ups that had no business asking me them kind of questions, would put me in uncomfortable situations like, why are you married to a white man? It's none of your business.
Right.
But society made it harder for us. Now it's pretty acceptable. Like you see it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Now I will say my family, yes. My family has got a lot of different races. I got cousins that are half black, half white, half black, half Puerto Rican, Dominican, Salvadorian. You'd be like my family has it's a big melting pot.
My family's like that too.
For me, now I'll be honest, have I talked to a girl outside of my race before? Yes, but I've never officially dated them.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never officially dated them, and the only race that I ever stepped outside of was Hispanic women. That was it. But I've never, because I already knew that at one point in time, some families are very accepting of that. Some families aren't accepting of that.
Yeah.
And there's like some families who disown their own
Very true.
about that. And it's just like, oh, yeah, I don't want to have to deal with that. Like, I'm cool.
Yeah, I was blessed. I am, my mother and ex-mother-in-law, we cool, and so she loves her grandson, has always been accepting. I mean, that woman makes time to fly out here
That's
once,
nice.
twice a year, and I don't treat her no different. Like, we locked in. I have your grandson, and they've just always been loving and
One thing you
accepting.
should look up is the basketball player Rudy Gobert. He plays for Minnesota. His mom is white, and his dad was black. His mom side of the family disowned her after she had him. You should look that up when you get a chance.
I will. I didn't know that.
So like birthdays for him and everything, they don't even call her or call him. They just completely disowned him and her. They don't consider them family at all.
That's crazy.
And I only know about that because he wrote an article about it.
Wow.
And I was like, and I saw it maybe about a month ago, and I was like, damn, okay.
Damn, yeah,
Deep.
I've never even heard of that. So the next question is, how do traditional gender roles impact your relationships? So I know we were talking about cultural differences and dating outside our races, but in regards to relationships, I know a lot of people say 50-50. Do y'all believe in that, or do y'all believe in like that traditional gender role thing? Especially you, because y'all don't live together yet, right?
Not yet. No.
Okay. We're going to speak it into existence.
Well, for me, yeah, I believe in 50-50. It's not a problem for me. I would hope that, I mean, again, like I was telling y'all earlier this week, at one point in time, my girlfriend wanted to be, when the time comes for us to have children, if we ever get to that phase, she wanted to be an at-home mom. And I was just like, okay. But I was like, eventually, like, I come from a background where all the women in my family have worked.
Yes.
And have, had jobs, paid bills, and done that. So, like, I don't think anybody in my family's ever been an at-home mom. So, for me, it would be a big experience, a big change for me. Am I against it? No, not necessarily, but like I'm not sitting on $1 million.
Okay.
So it's just like, when that time comes, okay, I'll think about it, like it's not a problem. But for the time being, since we're only thousandaires, I would hope that you would go.
I love that.
Like,
Thousandaires.
yeah, like, I would hope that you would go out there and not just be dependent on me just to be taking care of the whole household, because like, if I got to pay for, if I got to take care of the bills, the mortgage, kids, then I'm pretty sure you're going to want to go out and buy clothes and shoes and cars and things like that and live a luxurious life. Totally get that. But, that comes with hard work. It's not just given to you.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of women of the generation now, that's what they look for. They look for a guy who's making six figures.
We call that they're looking to be kept.
Yeah, well kept. And it's just like,
Looking to be kept comes with a whole lot.
And that's a very small percentage of guys who even are in that bracket.
Not only is it a very small percentage, you got to be careful what you ask for.
That too.
Looking to be kept can come with a whole lot.
Because they could already have 1, 2, 3 other women on standby who are taking care of them for whatever needs they may need to, but still be, okay, yeah, I'm at home, I'm still married, I still live that lavish life.
I think, and how can I word this? I don't think traditional men have a problem with a woman staying at home, but I think the foundation of having a woman that, this is how I'll put it for me and Chris. My husband's traditional. He does not mind paying the bulk of the bills. I participate because I can and I want to. I think for my husband, he looks at it as that's a wonderful option to have in a woman. For the simple fact, my husband may not die tomorrow, but anything can happen to him that puts him in a situation where he cannot financially provide for our family.
Right.
And I now have to step into that role. Knowing that your partner can do that, I think is a very critical thing to have. Not 50-50, knowing that my partner can step up when I can't. That's how it should be looked at. If 50-50 works for you, so be it. But I feel like 50-50, how do I pour into a man to take lead who I'm not allowing to lead?
Yeah.
50-50 is not leading. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess when you do go 50-50, are y'all keeping tabs? Like, oh, you paid this time, I got to pay this time. Or you paying this amount of bills, so I got to pay this amount of bills. It's just, you just have that conversation. It's what works for you, for y'all. Mm-hmm. It don't matter what society or even how you were raised. A lot of people think, oh, well, I saw my parents do it this way, this is how I have to do it. No, it's not. Your parents grew up in a different era.
A different bracket. Different cost.
Right. Y'all remember when gas was like $1?
We'll never see that again.
Gas $3 now.
I know.
When it only took $25 to fill up your car.
Yeah.
We'll never see that again.
So what worked back then? Yeah. But now it's what works for your relationship. So I don't think it's no such thing as 50-50.
Off 50-50 is fine. Like in the sense of like we have a financial goal, we got a plan. Mm-hmm. But I once again, I don't understand how a man can be a provider, a protector, head of household, and I'm supposed to look to him to make those decisions. My job is to be the nurturer.
Yeah.
That's a woman. That's how we're wired. We're nurturers. Husbands are providers. They're protectors. That's them. It's just how we're wired. So how do I tell my provider protector, like, oh, okay, well, I see you as that, and we're 50-50. 50-50 means that I can go do this by myself. Mm-hmm. So that's my opinion on it. Okay. What do y'all currently do now?
I wouldn't say 50-50. He takes care of the mortgage. Basically, now that I think about it, he take care of everything. I just pay my car note and my car insurance. Ooh. Ooh. And I pay for the internet, but I work from home, so my company pays for it. The company I work for, they give us an internet stipend to make sure we have that certain speed.
So we're about to, Krista and I mean, we do go, because daycare high. So we do split the kids' daycare, but Chris pays the mortgage, and I pay, like, the smaller bills, but he carries the bulk. But like I said, when I see my husband, and I respect my husband that way, I don't think I could, and it's sad to say, I don't think there would be a respect factor there that you expect for me to go out and be 50-50 and still be a nurture to our kids and carry the household and cook and clean. No.
Yeah.
So let me ask y'all this. Let's say both y'all's husbands was out of work for 3 months. Mm-hmm. Would y'all be okay for taking care of all the bills for those 3 months while, yeah?
Oh, hold on. Let me tell you. Not only would I be okay, I've done it. Because my husband's an entrepreneur. So them slow periods, when you have an HVAC company, because winter comes and money changes. It's been times I've had to cut checks to employees. It's been times I've had to I've had to pay the truck notes for the business. So that's a true partnership. That's a true ride. That's why I said when you are looking at a partner, you got to make sure your partner can step up when you can't.
Right.
That's a partnership. That's that shift that I'm talking about of like you're constantly growing and constantly trying to push one another to the next level. So you can't do that 50-50.
Yeah.
You can't.
And it's about the little things too. I remember one of my friends was venting to me about her boyfriend at the time, of how I think they got into an argument because she didn't wash his clothes or something. And I said, well, if you're at home all day and he comes home, like, what's the big deal? Like, why can't you wash his clothes? You're at home. Well, it's just that he expects me to do that. It's not the expectation. It's just, to me, it's a gesture. If I'm not working and my boyfriend or whoever is out working and all he needs or asks me to do is just take care of some laundry, that's all you need me to do?
That's all. And I
throw them in the washing machine. You act like we back in the day. You want me to hand wash? I gotta do throw them in the washing machine. I was like, I can't agree. I can't agree with you. I can see why he's upset.
Yeah.
Because I know my husband. He don't have to worry about none of that. Mm-mm. I will wash, fold clothes, and have them on the bed by the time he get home, and have dinner cooked. I mean, I work from home, but still, it's
a different generation.
Yeah.
It's a different
now, I've
generation.
had a lot of my male friends get into arguments with their girlfriends because when they come home from work, yo, why ain't no food on the table? I'm just like, bro, you really arguing about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You done sat at home all day, what you do?
What if she works?
You didn't say that.
Yeah, I was like, that's different.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Now,
Don't put no expectations on me. You can't put on yourself. Now, like I said, it goes back to, what is the initial goal here? Are we both 50-50 trying to get somewhere? So you can't put something on me you can't compensate into yourself. So we both can't be out here working 12 hours and you telling me I'm the only person that's doing the cooking and cleaning. Nah, bruh, you got to pick up some of these days. Now, I tell Chris all the time, you want to offset some of these balances? You need me around for more quality time? You got to pick up the slack somewhere.
Right.
So that means more expenses is going to come down on your end. It's a give and take. Yeah. You got to kind of figure out your poison on that. But I'll tell anybody, man, don't get with somebody just because of their finances. That shit can go away. Just like looks can go away. Same thing. Guys, don't be going to go get with somebody that can't step up.
Mm-hmm. Because I was going to say, with your friends, was it more of the assumption that she was going to cook, or did they previous have the conversation? Or is it more of like the expectation?
I think it was probably the expectation in their minds.
Okay. Yeah, that mind is powerful.
And that's why I try to tell them, like, yo, man, you can't go in with the expectation that they're just gonna do everything because you're out there working, providing, and for you to come home to just dinner on the table. I was like, what if they're going through something mentally?
And now I would say if she's home and he's working and he's providing, it goes back to this man is the one that's going out and making that risk every day.
Yeah.
The stress up underneath somebody else. He may not come home. Mm-hmm. It's a privilege to come back home. Oh, so at least cherish and pour into him. You ain't got to cook every day, but a man's decompression should be when they come home. They shouldn't come home to more stress. So if all he asking for is a home cooked meal, you got somebody that's paying all the bills and keeping him home, he being faithful, and all he asking for is a home cooked meal. Pull the motherfucking air fryer out, a cookbook. If you can't cook, swipe a card.
Yeah.
Have something for him to have, but that I'm telling you.
But I can see the girl side too, because I can see where they're like, well, that sounds like I'm a wife, or that sounds like I should be a fiance if I'm doing that.
So I can build your way to that.
Yeah, but if it sounds terrible, I know, but as a woman, if you can't show those tendencies now, he already know that's not going to be you. What is a ring? Him putting a ring on it, that's going to make you start cooking. It's going to make you start. No,
some of them may think so, but but don't sit in that position for 5 or 6 years where you giving a man a whole cow and the milk too, and he ain't making no moves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a good question. Do y'all have a cap off on engagement, or a person asking the question of how long y'all think y'all should be engaged before y'all married, or vice versa? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If by year 2, year 3, you don't know if you want to marry me, keep it pushing. It don't take that long. Honestly, studies show a man knows within the first 6 months. It takes a man 6 months to know whether or not you're wifey material for him. if you're the person he can see himself with to wife. It don't take us being engaged. It don't take us being together 5 years for you to be like, well, I don't know.
I've known guys who've been with the same girl for 8 years and they've not proposed to them.
Because that's not who they want to be with.
Damn.
I mean, serious. That's comfortability. That is, I'm comfortable. That's somebody I can go home to. I know her traits. I know what it is. But I'm just a tad bit, I don't really know if I want to step outside because the grass may not be green on the other side. It do not take a man 8 years. No, ma'am.
Yeah, 8 is kind of long. But playing devil's advocate, do they want to get married? Some women don't want to get married.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, I think my longest relationship was 4 years, and I never even thought of the idea of proposing to her.
But you've been with your current girlfriend for how long?
2 months, but we've already been talking about.
Okay, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
2 months, 4 years. There you go. I'm telling you, a man knows we take more time than men do.
Yeah. Because I remember when Donzel proposed to me, I was like, huh? I was like, what? What?
It caught you by surprise?
Caught me by surprise.
Now, why did it catch you off surprise?
Because I just didn't think we was ready for that. That's why when you said the time limit, I'm like, I didn't think no. I was just enjoying it.
What year were y'all in?
2.
Oh,
But the
not
first like couple of months when we were together, we were long distance.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Germany.
Okay.
He was in Germany. I was still in Dallas, and like I remember everything to this day. I remember he came to visit me in Dallas. We went on a date, and then he stayed the night. Didn't try anything. Wanted to sleep on the couch, and I was like, that's odd. I was like, okay. And then I went to work. I came back. He left flowers for me with a note saying he was serious. I went back to work the next day, told my manager about it, and she said, you're going to marry him. I was like, okay. And then we dated ever since. But he came down to San Antonio for, I think, a funeral. One of his family members had passed, and he messaged me and said, I want to take you on a date. And I don't think he knew how far San Antonio and Dallas was. Oh, but he drove all the way to Dallas. Yeah. So, but anywho, enough about me. Y'all gonna make me blush. All right. So in regards to, since we're talking about emotional connection, how do y'all maintain that emotional connection with your partner?
Well, for me, since I'm in a long distance relationship, we talk every day.
Yeah, I was gonna say long distance it's easier to me.
And there's times where we'll fall asleep on the phone.
Oh, I remember those
Chris
days.
and I talk every day. You swear we ain't got no jobs. We do. We talk every day, and he'll even tease me like you ain't called me. Like we do. We talk every day. Mm-hmm. And Chris and I have done counseling in our marriage at our worst, and we've done counseling in our marriage at our best. And I think for me, where we are now, I feel like every couple, anybody in a relationship should go through counseling, whether it's good or whether it's bad. It really sets a foundation for communication. Mm-hmm. It does. And there's just times where sometimes your spouse does not have the words to articulate, and a counselor can bring it out differently, and they give you the tools that you need. And I am very big on mental health. I tell Chris all the time, you need your person to talk to. I need my person to talk to. Like, you gotta be able to have a detox and reset. So I think those two things are what keeps communication for us. We talk every day. We've been through counseling. We go through counseling. And, military, I have my own set of counseling stuff that I have to do, but that keeps us going. Yeah.
I would say, just like you, communication. Mm-hmm. I've been pushing Donzel more on his time that he needs to talk to somebody, just because he's starting to realize the way he was raised wasn't like, he's like, I don't want to raise my kids the way I was raised. So he's starting to see like it was an issue on how he was raised. So slowly but surely he's getting there. But yeah, we work on communication. We don't really argue. We got into an argument the other day over something stupid, but it's more of just, let me hear your side. Let me hear how you thought of that, or what was your interpretation of it. And then we just hash it out.
That's good.
Yeah.
It took Chris and I a while to get there, because what happened was we were talking at one another and we weren't listening. And I didn't understand how critical like just listening was until we went through counseling. And they're like, you didn't hear nothing he said.
Right.
Just don't say anything. Take a couple of seconds to pause. And one of the things I remember a counselor telling us to do is let your husband say what he has to say, and then turn around and summarize what he just said. Because that's showing that you're listening, and as you're saying it and you're putting it back out, that means you processed what he was actually saying. And that helps a lot, because I'm just a little firecracker sometimes. And I'm like, just shut up.
And it goes back, and I just posted on my Facebook about this maybe a couple weeks ago. When you're hearing your partner talk, don't listen to reply. Listen to comprehend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of people get that confused. And I used to be the same way. And I used to be like, well, no. Like, nah. Like, first, let them get it off. Then respond afterwards. Because sometimes I used to cut people off in the middle of their conversations while they were talking to me about an issue. And it's just like, you really didn't learn anything. Like, you were just really just responding just to respond. Just to reply, and just, well, no, it's not because of that, and it's just like, nah, like, and I can admit that, like, but now I've been practicing on that. I've been going to therapy, and I advocate for all men in general and black men. I mean, if you don't feel like you need therapy, hey, I totally understand that, but go to therapy, seek a therapist out, and talk to them about your childhood, your trauma, anything that you've had confusion on growing up. Because again, growing up, me and my family never sat down at a table and had dinner. That's one thing that I always wished I had.
Wow. Yeah.
But when I go to my cousin's house or I go to my friend's house, their family would make dinner, sit down at the table, and ask them about how their day went. And that's something that I always wish that I had in my own household. And I just told my therapist that last week, and she was like, I could understand that. She was like, a lot of people, she was like, you come from a single mother, so she was like, I can understand that. Your mom was a provider. She really didn't want to maybe do that for y'all. But, that's just one thing that I just advocate for all people. Go seek therapy if you feel like you're on the fence in regards to anything, because you'd be surprised what you'll let out. And as soon as you start crying, you just be like, am I crying? Like, yeah, I am crying. Okay. It's like, yeah, it's time to open up.
And it's something that little, because like you said, you might meet someone, or your girlfriend now, she might come from that family background of doing that. And then it's y'all are having conversations, or it's just, she's like, oh, and you're telling her about this. She might think that's just, like, that's, like, y'all did what? Like, that's not how I was raised. Yeah. And it's just good to know. So then you know how you want to raise your kids and how you want to have your family. Man, that's deep. I did not know that.
But you'd be surprised.
It's the little things. It's like, you like just not having dinner.
And from anybody that was raised by just a single mother who has, other siblings, we never had that. But if I ever go to my Uncle Mike's house, where it's mom and dad, and they're both working, and then they come home, and then they make dinner, and then they sit down at the table, and you just watch, at a young age, just watch how everything transpired. Like that, I used to harbor that. I used to resent my mom in regards to that for a lot, because I was like, why can't we be like that? So
I can agree with that, because I had consistency and inconsistency with that. But I had to remember, as a single mom, she had to do what she had to do at times. Like, she, whatever. And then we grew up in a generation where half the time we were taking care of our younger siblings. So you was eating with your siblings while mom was pulling a shift or at work, and our messages was left on a piece of mail.
Yep.
Like,
yo,
answer the
spaghetti
door,
in the fridge.
put this, dinner, whatever, do your homework. So, like, we just came from a different generation where mentally we got by emotionally taking care of ourselves and not knowing we were harboring that all this time.
Yeah. See, with a little bit different with y'all, my grandmother raised us. Both my parents were there, but I know my dad, he traveled for work to Austin. My mother was working, but Granny was always there, cooking, cleaning, and just like you said, we always had dinner together. So that's how I was brought up. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, my husband, with his father, my father-in-law, being active in the military, deployment, it was always just him and his mom. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have his dad around as much. So I know he shared with me when it's our time to have kids, like, he wants to be fully involved, every little thing, because he didn't have that.
See how we internalize stuff and it come up when you grown.
Trust me, I know.
Ooh, internalizing is strong.
And again, there's a lot of things that I resented my mom for, but I know it's not her fault. She was just trying to provide for, her two boys. Yeah. So, like, I think about that now. I'm like, you know what? She was just trying her hardest to make sure that her kids, just went through life and didn't mess up and get arrested or get killed or anything like that.
See how you are with dinners. I'm like that with hugs and I love you. Mm-hmm. My mom was like, I remember hearing it here and there, but my mom was more of a shower with her love, not a like. My mom didn't like tuck us in the bed at night, and she wasn't big on hugs. So I'm not an affectionate person. Chris will tell you I'm almost like a dude. Mm-hmm. I am like I can go without the hugs and the kisses and the cuddles. It's unnatural for me. Like, yeah, I just like, I love you, but I don't have to like bear hug you and kiss you 20 times. It's like, I love you, and I overcompensate by doing stuff like, oh, I love my husband, oh, he like these shoes, oh, I love my husband, let me send him on a guy's trip, or let me massage your personal time. I compensate in those areas of showing my love. And believe it or not, I married a person whose love language, number one, guess what it is? Physical touch.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because when I showed my girlfriend the topics that we were going to be talking about, she asked me, she was like, out of the 5 love languages, what are yours? And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, the 5 love languages. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, look it up real quick. She was like, it's a book that somebody wrote. And I looked it up, and I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, I'm getting it. And she was like, so what would you say yours is? I was like, affection and just being told that, you love me.
Yeah, words of affirmation.
Just words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, those are my 2 main things, because I never got that from my mom. Like, she was never affectionate. She never tucked us in.
Yeah.
She never, like, did any of that type of stuff. So I told her, like, when it comes to my kids, I hope to do the same. Or I hope to be doing that with them, showing them that, giving them affection, giving them words of affirmation, and just letting them know, hey, look, I love you. Like, I love you. I may be rough sometimes. I may be kind of stern on you sometimes, but just know that my love isn't going anywhere. Like, I love you. I'll move heaven and earth for you if need be.
That is something I've had to work on as a parent, like, because I didn't grow up doing it. So I almost do the same thing with the kids. I overcompensate where Chris, once again, he's the hugger, he's the cuddler, he's the play, like, and I'm more of the like, oh, okay, well, like, let's go do this kind of thing. So you be surprised. That's why I said counseling is so important, because a lot of that stuff will come to the surface as you talk things through your childhood and your trauma. You'd be surprised how much stuff you internalize that you don't even think about.
And I think too, like when you're trying to learn your spouse, or like even when you're dating, you find out like that's not something you want. Like, for example, I remember I was talking and dating this guy, and I was like you, Bree. I was like, why aren't you? Well, I guess I was the opposite. How you say you're very, I don't do that. I love you and kissing and hugging. Like, I'm just not affectionate. I'm like, well, why? Like, why? But then I got around the family, and I was like, oh. everything makes sense now. And it's not bad, but you really truly find out like a person is how they are because of how they were raised in their family.
Absolutely.
It's not nothing wrong with them. It's truly just they don't know. And if you're willing to be with somebody, and I don't want to say the word mold them, but kind of just if you're willing to deal with it and grow with them as they go through that, then that's your person. That's your person. So speaking of that, as far as intimacy, what does intimacy mean to y'all beyond physical?
Mental stimulation. Like, I love somebody that just gets to my core. Like, Chris is my safe space. Like, he's the yin to the yang. Like, we just balance one another. Like, shit that just would, I fly off the handles for Chris just is like, it ain't that serious. And I think that's the intimacy for me, is he centers me. It has nothing to do with physical, no sex. It's just having somebody that can just deeply get to your core and just give you a particular look that just brings a sense of peace and calmness. Like, that's our intimacy. And that just, I almost want to cry, because I love that man.
Yeah, it's your safe space for sure. That's how you kind of know when you can be just vulnerable with that person. I mean, tell them everything. That's like things you grew, like things that happened during your childhood. As you grow up, you're like, man, that wasn't the right thing to do, or I was actually doing something bad. And you can truly be honest with them. That's how you know. Like, as far as for me, that's the same thing. It's like mentally, it's like, dang, like you get me. And that's beyond you touching me or holding me. It's just like damn, you get me as a person.
Yeah, I think mental intimacy and physical intimacy is like on a whole nother spectrum. Yeah. Like, to really mentally have somebody wrapped into you that understands you, it goes beyond a lot. Like,
that's why it goes back to what you said, physically cheating and mentally cheating. Like, yeah, you just went and slept with that person, yeah, but mentally, like, do y'all got a connection? Like, damn. Damn.
Especially when you start pouring, like, that type of information in regards to your childhood, your traumas, the things that you've always harbored in, that you never wanted to tell anybody or even let hit the surface. Right. Yes. For me, it's mental, just like you said, because me and my girl weren't intimate for even the first go around. We were never intimate. We never did anything. Like, I always like, nah, I'm cool. And she'd be like,
something wrong with you?
Trust me, I've had girls before where I've never been intimate on the first, second, third, or fourth date, and they would question me like, are you gay?
Wow.
I'm like, no, I ain't gay. I'm just like, I don't do that. I just don't, like, I have a different path compared to all the other guys that you may have been with.
Right.
So, I'm glad you said that, because circling back around, for me, just being honest, I've never had a one night stand.
Me neither.
And it goes back to like never, can't even think about doing it. But for me, intimacy is a mental thing for me. So I can't get stimulated. You can be fine as hell, but if you don't mentally have something with me, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna react to you. It's none of that. I can't do it.
I've never had a one night stand. Like, I've never had a one night stand at all. I've always treated dating kind of like how a Carfax, especially in San Antonio. Damn. Because it's just like, nah, I can't, nope. I don't already know who she been with. I know who she been with. She been with that, that blood dude from so and so. Like, I'm cool on that.
Dang.
So
it was. You knew about the girls in San Antonio?
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
It's
small.
Northside,
okay, yeah.
Northside Independent School District.
Small. That's why I was not eager to. I wasn't sexually active in high school because everybody was talking about everybody. I mean, it's just a reputation is easy to get as hell to get out of. You know what I'm saying? Once, and as much as we can be like, oh, we're grown, that shit don't matter. It do.
It sure do.
Motherfuckers will bring up some shit from when you was your freshman year. I remember when she was messing. People don't let certain stuff go.
Yeah.
And so I never wanted to be a part of that. So I really didn't date nobody from my school. Like my first boyfriend was, remember I talked, whatever. He married now, kids, whatever. Happy for him. But that was it. Like, okay, it didn't work trying to date somebody from my high school. So when my second person that I dated that went to Prairie View, I went to UT, he went to my high school, but he had graduated. Okay. So therefore it was like, he ain't nobody around, don't nobody know our business, and I'm very private. That's another reason why I could never just have a one night stand, because it's a mental thing for me, but I'm a very private person. Very, very private. Like, I'm off the grid. I don't want nobody in our business. I don't even have conversation. You know, to this day, I've never had a conversation with you like, oh, sis, I like this in the bedroom. This what me and my spouse do. That's off limits for me. I don't do that with girlfriends. Boyfriend, husband, it ain't none of your goddamn business what I do in the bedroom, how it is. It's just,
yeah, it's private.
It's private, and I enjoy that privacy. But San Antonio, it's a lot of kiss and tell.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of men that act like females and they talk too much. So,
and I used to hang around with guys. I used to be in a circle of like 6 or 7 guys where they was moving around. And I was like, I never want to be like
girls.
It's same girls. Just passing around. I'm just like, I never want to be like that. Like, I never want to be like that. Like, I'm very private when it comes to my relationships. And I'll just share some information with y'all real quick. I've only dated 2 girls in high school. And I remember their names. I'm not going to say them because they're both married and moved on. So
damn,
you know.
I guess I should have kept. All right, well.
No. I'll mention one. Her first girl I ever dated, her name was... I'm not gonna say her last name because I don't want people like going on Facebook trying to look her up.
Right.
The other girl was somebody that everybody knew I dated. Her name was. Okay. But I was never intimate with them. I've never had sex with them. Any of that. I didn't have sex. I didn't lose my virginity until after high school, which was in 2008, and I just turned 20. So I was not sexually active in high school compared to a lot of other people.
Getting it in.
Yeah.
Who were really getting it in from like middle school.
That's really low key why, that's why he pretty much broke up with me. I wasn't putting out.
Yeah. I think y'all might laugh at me, but I was very sheltered kind of. So I always grew up of say no to drugs. If you smoke weed, you might die. If you ever smoke, you might die. So I grew up with the understanding of, if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant. It don't matter. Like, that's just 1 + 1. You're going to get pregnant. So I was always scared of that. And then looking now with everything that's going on, there's STDs. I always thought, too, as soon as if you have sex without a condom, you get AIDS automatically, HIV. I was just very unknowledged when it came to stuff like that. So that's, I guess you can say, fear. Is why
I had the fear of that and the fear of my mom.
That too.
Yeah.
We feared our parents, and my mom did not play.
I
didn't have that exposure. Like, we talked about this on a previous episode. My mom did not let me stay the night at everybody's house. My mom was very involved. If I did go somewhere, I need to meet their mom. Hey, you here all night. It ain't you work nights, and they staying here by themselves. So I was very much under lock and key. And even going to certain family members' house, lock and key. Certain family members, I wasn't allowed to go to their house. My mom already knew what was going on. So college for me was a little bit more of an exposure, but at the time I had a boyfriend, so it was kind of like my little wilding out period was with him until, we broke up or whatever. But same thing. I mean, I was sheltered. Pregnancy. My mom was like, oh, I could take you to the doctor and I can go and look. So it was that fear factor. Nowadays you really can't, because believe it or not, you take your daughter to the doctor, she has the right to request for birth control. And the doctor don't have to disclose nothing to you.
Doctor-patient confidentiality.
So,
yeah.
I shouldn't be telling these young girls that. But anyways, I just couldn't do it. But
and my mom ruled with an iron fist. So a lot of things that I was doing growing up, like first time I got arrested, I remember the cop asked me, he's like, "You want to call anybody?" I was like who? He's like,
not my mama.
I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, "You want to call like your mom or anything?" I was like, "Bro, just take me." I was like, "I ain't."
Yeah.
I'll figure out how I'm gonna get back home and
I was
explain
like, I'll figure
this.
it out. I was like, I got an older brother. I was like, he got a car too. So I was like, I'll just call him.
Yeah.
I was like,
Same.
call him.
I have older brother, younger brother, might as well be older brother because he crazy, and daddy and mama. I don't know, Bree. Who would you say is worse, mama?
Yeah, mama.
Mom's rule with an iron fist though.
So, yeah,
I yeah. I didn't see. I'll never forget that phone call. But yeah.
Yeah. I remember for my 21st birthday, I was in Miami. My teammates took me to Miami for my 21st birthday, and I had got drunk, and one of my teammates, I was like, I just want y'all to call my mom. So she called my mom, and I remember my mom talked to me. She said, "Leisha?" I said, "Huh?" She's like, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." She said, "Okay, I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow." And my teammates was like, "I don't know what your mama told you, but you sobered up quick."
Clear. I'm telling you, but we were the fear factor kid. We was the fear kids.
Yeah.
We didn't play around with stuff like that. But coming around to what you mentioned, which I feel like is big, and we always talk about health on this show, is STDs. And I don't think that people are really taking it serious. We just have a very over sexualized generation now. They don't really educate themselves on STDs. And I found it crazy, y'all, to know that San Antonio is ranked 19th in the nation for STDs. Gonorrhea and chlamydia being the top two, and syphilis being on a almost 500% rise in the past 10 years. And I can tell y'all there's a lot of truth to that because the department I work in, I see a lot of syphilis. And syphilis is not something that, you go get an STD check and, this year, next year, it ain't going to show up. It's going to always show up.
Wow.
So definitely take care of y'all's health and,
So what are some ways that, other than the obvious, but from a man and a woman's perspective, what do y'all think are some ways that we can protect ourselves?
Use condom. Go get tested.
Go get tested.
But if y'all are not literally sitting down with one another and saying, we're committed, we're only sleeping with one another, then y'all need to be using protection. And even then, if this is not really your husband, and even then there's some gray area there, but if there's not a serious level of commitment, y'all really need to just be using protection. And you should always, at least once a year, go get tested. Go get tested and ask questions. Just be like, hey, if you're sexually active, y'all grown enough to have these conversations. How many partners have you had? How many partners, have you ever had an STD? Mm-hmm. Some people don't ask that question. Have you ever had an STD before? Okay, were you treated? Because some people just think I can just go a couple of months and it's just gonna go away.
Yeah.
Some people have STDs and they don't have symptoms. They don't know that they just out here burning people. Do you go both ways? Are you curious? Like, these are questions you have to ask because those put people at a higher risk for STDs. And I think the other question that people don't ask, do you use drugs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. HIV, needle sharing, that stuff is real.
Yeah.
Herpes. Okay. Y'all sharing stuff, it's a cold sore.
Right.
Kind of thing. So you got to ask those kinds of questions. And another statistic is this younger generation, they dipping into a lot of heroin.
Really?
Fentanyl.
Oh, yeah.
They done skipped over weed and pill popping. They just went straight for the hard stuff.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever
Where's
seen
the DARE program?
Bro, that been gone. That been gone. It was like, man, these kids ain't listening. They just buying the shirt to look cool.
Damn.
But have y'all ever seen Dallas Buyers Club? With Matthew McConaughey? Go watch it.
seen that.
It's based on a true story. Matthew McConaughey plays like a cowboy, and he's like he's having sex with prostitutes. He's doing needle sharing. He's doing heroin, and then one day he just passes out. He wakes up at the hospital, and they tell him like, "You have HIV."
Wow.
And he's like, "You're lying." He's like, "Yeah, you're fucking lying." And then lo and behold, he keeps blacking out, and then I don't want to give up the plot too much. Y'all should really go watch it because it really opened my eyes to, like Bree said, STDs, HIV in general, because I'd never really thought about it that way. But I know people personally who've had caught an STD, and I don't know if it's been cured or if it's not been cured. I keep that privacy between us because some of them have come to me confidentially and just told me. So I always want to keep, that private. But definitely get checked. Me and my girlfriend just talked about that not too long ago.
Mm-hmm. And y'all are in 2 months, right? Y'all been dating for 2 months.
Well, Chris and I was dating. Hey, I need you to run me an STD check. We in Killeen, Texas, sir.
Yeah.
Central Texas has a high. Central Texas has the highest STD rate in Texas. But I didn't play those games. If we dating and before we even get to being in a committed relationship and we're talking about having sex, I need for you to have an STD check. Yeah, I need to know what I'm walking into.
So it's definitely a conversation you need to have with your partner. But y'all, I think sometimes it's more of the embarrassment. Like, when is the right time? That's why I said with you and your girlfriend, y'all have only been dating and talking for 2 months, and y'all are already having that conversation. That's why I said, what's the difference? Because you mentioned earlier in the episode about we were talking. And I think that's what's hard. I think with even some of my friends that are single, it's like, does it go talking, dating, relationship, then engagement? Or is talking and dating the same thing? When is it appropriate to have those conversations?
For me, I opened up rather quickly.
Okay.
Especially at the age that I'm at now.
Yes.
So, like, it was rather easy for me to open up to her in regards to a lot of things. It was just rather easy compared to in my 20s where I was just lying and just harboring stuff in, keeping that trauma in. But, like, I would say by April is when I fully started to open up completely. Like, I was an open book. Like, I just told her, things that I harbored, trauma, things I was insecure about. And, like, she just saw me in a completely different light and even told me, like, she was like, I've never had a guy ever tell me, like, open up to me like this. And I was just like, because, tomorrow I could die. And I'd rather somebody know about some of these things than, not tell anybody. And then people would have been wondering, like, man, I wonder what he was going through. Like, I've had, mental issues. I've had, bad relationships. I've had where I've stepped out. I've had, childhood trauma that I've even talking to my therapist now about. But, I've opening up to her a lot more because we consider each other, just like Bree said with Chris, we're our own safe space. So when we get on the phone, we just open up.
Yeah.
And she's opened up to me about her childhood, her relationship with her mom, her relationship with her father, past relationships, her own insecurities. And it's a new experience for me, but I'm very proud to just be open. More than anything. I'm so happy that I'm open because I never thought that I would be at this point in my life compared to a lot of other men who have that problem just communicating and just saying what's on their heart and what's on their mind. I'm very open with her and just a lot of my friends in general. Like, I'll just tell them, like, when they call me and ask me certain stuff, I'll just be like, hey, man, look, I'm going to tell you something. You may not like it, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I need to tell you. Because I'm like, I'd rather you be mad and then, you get over it in time and then tell you something and then you just hold on to that and be like, well, you told me this. And it's like, nah, man, that's not what I really, like, I didn't even really want to tell you that.
Yeah. But I think it comes back to age. I think we're at an age now where we already know where we're at. We're content. Like, we're on a clear path. So for us asking these questions and having these conversations, it's nothing for us. We've hit that milestone. But in your 20s, you know, it's a lot of like influence and trying to be, you know, peer pressure and all this different stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to hold yourself accountable and be responsible in that moment to ask those questions. I think with these young girls, you know, following in behind social media, if you can ask that man for a $600 meal and buy you a bag, you can ask him about an STD check, how many partners he's had. And if he can't answer those questions, then that's probably a red flag that that's not where you need to be or who you lay down with.
Right.
But my mom just kept it old school, like country. Like, she just straight told me and my sister growing up, never lay down with somebody you can't picture yourself having kids with.
Yep.
Because shit happens. Condoms break. You get caught up in a moment. So if you can't picture yourself baby daddy, long-term spouse, then that's not who you need to lay down with for no fun.
Right.
Mm-mm.
And to be completely transparent, I never thought that I would make it to see 30.
Wow.
Never in my wild imaginations think I would even make it to even reach 35. I'll be 36 next month. So I never thought I'd even make it to this point. I thought I'd have been, who knows, killed, whatever the case may be, because of bad decisions that I made when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I can be transparent about that completely. I never thought I would be making it to 30. And it's sad to even say that, but looking back, it's just like, man, I'm so happy where I'm at right now in my life.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a blessing.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, that concludes our episode. Before we get out of here, we do want to thank you for listening. Also, thank you, Cortland, for coming and joining us. You were very open. And thank you, everybody. Just Bree being open and transparent about letting everybody kind of in your life. Like you said, you're very private.
Very.
So hopefully you might have some people listening that's like, girl, I know you.
You definitely finna get some messages.
Yeah. And even me, everyone knows I'm very private. My family's very private. I don't even really share a lot with my family. I share a lot with my little brother. Me and my little brother are very close. And me and my husband obviously are close. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Before we get out of here, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this episode. And also follow us on Instagram. You can find us at sisters_with_a_purpose. And then Cortland, do you want to shout out your Instagram or your social media?
I actually just deactivated my Instagram.
Damn!
But it was only for mental health purposes.
Okay.
I just didn't want to see any of that. I was just like, you know, I'm not worried about that. I just want to focus on me and focus on my relationship and my own life. Really, eventually I will pop back on, probably around my birthday.
Okay.
You know, I go brief periods without being on social media. But my podcast is called I Guess This Is a Podcast. I am on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I plan to move to YouTube in the near future. I plan to be working with them as well on my own as well. I'm very appreciative for y'all to consider me.
Absolutely.
For this and this topic today. And more than anything, I thank y'all. I really thank y'all. Keep doing what y'all are doing. I'm very proud of both of y'all.
Thank
for what y'all
you.
are doing. Keep going strong. And outside of that, just keep moving the boundary.
Yeah.
Keep having these type of discussions, because you'd be surprised who in the future could be going back to episode 1 and listening to what y'all are talking about. So
yeah,
I'm advocating for y'all really hard.
Yeah, before we get out of here, I think that's the biggest thing that people don't understand is that doing this is putting yourself out there.
Oh yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy at all. I have friends that ask me like, "Oh, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, it's going." Yeah, it is hard, but like I said, we're not just gonna put out anything to y'all. So I know we did take a little hiatus. I know y'all like, where Sistahs with a Purpose, were they only consistent for 3-4 episodes? No, we really wanted to take the time to look back at what we had put out, as far as just how it looked, the subjects, and we really wanted to take a deep dive and be able to provide y'all things that we feel like you should hear about. So yeah, just wanted to thank you all for listening. Bree, did you want to close out with anything?
Definitely give us feedback. Let us know if there's anything that y'all want us to talk about, whether it's currently going on, something you've been through. Like, we're here for y'all to share our experiences, but we also want to hear about y'all's experiences. We want to be educators to y'all. We are a platform for everybody, but we are more so always going to be a platform for us.
Absolutely.
So, but just keep in mind, we're human too.
Yep.
Yeah.
We go through life. We have stuff going on. But, we're trying to be consistent. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Not fly out to Dallas next month. So.
All right, everyone. So again, before we get out of here, just make sure you follow us on our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Instagram. And don't forget about Cortland. Till next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out,
Bye.
y'all.